There is a dream inside you that stopped speaking, not because it disappeared, but because life got loud enough to drown it out. There is an area of your health, your relationships, or your sense of purpose that gradually went quiet, not in a single dramatic moment, but slowly, silently, over time. And at some point, without even realizing it, you stopped expecting things to change. You adapted. You managed. You built a life around the silence. But what if the most ancient declaration ever spoken for words in the living language of Jesus himself was designed to reawaken exactly what went quiet inside you? What if the path back to your dreams, your health, and your most important relationships was not found in a new strategy, a new plan, or a new beginning, but in a frequency that has been available to you since the very beginning? 2,000 years ago, Jesus released a declaration in Aramaic that would become the most powerful restoration frequency ever spoken into human experience. Those words were Ana, I am the resurrection and the life. But this declaration was never meant to be a one-time miracle witnessed from a distance. It was encoded as a living practice, a frequency to be spoken with consistency and intention, into the specific areas of your life where something precious has gone silent. In this teaching, you will not only discover the ancient meaning behind every syllable of Ana, you will receive a practical protocol for how to speak this declaration into your dreams, your body, and your relationships with intention, with consistency, and with the understanding that this is not a formula, but a surrender. The reawakening does not happen in an instant. It happens as you return, again and again, to the source that never stopped believing in what you temporarily forgot. The declaration Ana Nakimta Kie spoken by Jesus in John chapter 11 is translated in most Bibles as I am the resurrection and the life. And for most people, those words remain locked inside a single story. A man named Lazarus, a tomb, a crowd of mourners, and a miracle that happened once in ancient history. But that reading misses the most important thing Jesus was communicating. When Jesus said Ani Nakyamta Wa, he was not announcing a one-time event. He was declaring his own identity, not what he did on a particular afternoon in Bethany, but what he fundamentally is. The I am construction in Aramaic Ana carries the full weight of present, continuous, living reality. It was saying I am right now. At this moment, in every moment, the resurrection and the life. This is not a past tense. It is an eternal present. This distinction changes everything about how you receive this declaration. It means that Anana Kyamta Wa is not a historical footnote to be admired. It is a living frequency, one that was spoken once in a specific moment, but was designed to be practiced again and again, into every area of human experience, where something precious has lost its voice. Think about what has gone quiet in your life. Not dramatically, not all at once, but gradually. The dream you once described with clarity and conviction that slowly stopped appearing in your conversations. The energy in your body that you used to take for granted, that somewhere along the journey began to require effort just to maintain. The closeness in a relationship that you once assumed was permanent, that over time has been replaced by distance and routine. These silences are what a Nakyamta Wa was encoded to address, not with a single dramatic intervention, but with a consistent, intentional return to the frequency of the I am, until what went quiet begins, slowly and surely, to find its voice again. The declaration does not override your life. It reorganizes it from the inside out, layer by layer, through the practice of deliberate, faithful return. The first word of the declaration, Qiamta, is the Aramaic root for resurrection, but its layers of meaning reach far beyond the image of a body rising from a grave. In its deepest Aramaic sense, Qiyamta means to stand again, to return to an upright position after having been brought low. It is the image, not of a single dramatic leap, but of a gradual, intentional restoration of posture. A tree bent by years of wind does not straighten overnight, but when the conditions change and the right support arrives, it begins slowly, organically, to find its vertical again. This image is the true architecture of how Ana Qiyamta Wa works in a life. Jesus did not encode this frequency for a single thunderclap moment of transformation, though moments of sudden grace are always possible. He encoded it as a sustainable resonance, something that, when practiced consistently and with genuine intention, begins to reorganize what has been bent, compressed, or silenced within you. The sleeping dream does not wake up the first morning you speak Aina Nakiamta Wa, but something begins to move. A thought arrives that would not have come the week before. A dore shows itself that had been invisible. A conversation carries more than coincidence. An old sense of purpose stirs in a quiet moment. These are not accidents. They are the early signs of Kua. The standing again, working beneath the surface of what you can yet see. The frequency is reorganizing the inner architecture of your life before the outer evidence has caught up. This is why consistency is not optional when working with this declaration. It is the mechanism itself. Each time you return to an Nana Kiamta Wa with an open heart, each time you direct it with intention toward the specific area that has gone silent, you are not repeating an empty formula. You are adding another layer of resonance to what is already rebuilding. Kiamta happens in layers, and every single return to this declaration is a layer that belongs to the restoration. The words of Jesus in Aramaic opened different pathways back to divine alignment. Each one represents a frequency capable of restoring something fragmented in human consciousness. Understanding these frequencies is the first step, but mastering their vibration in your daily life is where the true miracle happens. Aramaic words carry a sound dimension that is deeply vibrational, and some of these pronunciations may reach your ears slightly differently depending on how they are rendered. To help you connect with the correct pronunciation and practice these declarations with confidence, I created sacred study guides, designed specifically for that purpose. The link is pinned in the comments, and your deeper practice begins there. The second movement of the declaration K completes the picture that Kiamta begins. Where Kiamta speaks to the rising, K speaks to the quality of what rises in Aramaic. K does not describe ordinary biological life, the mechanical continuation of heartbeat and breath. It describes divine life in its most active, most generative form, the life that flows from the source of all things creative, abundant, self-renewing, and entirely independent of external circumstances. When Jesus joined Kiamta and K into a single declaration, Anana Kiamta Wa, he was describing not just the return of what was lost, but the return of something infused with a quality it did not possess before the silence. What this frequency restores, it does not merely restore to the former condition, it restores into something greater. This is one of the most important truths encoded in the Aramaic of JSUS's restoration is not regression to the past. It is elevation into a dimension the past never reached. The dream that reawakens through consistent practice of Anana Kiamta Wa will carry a depth of clarity and direction it lacked the first time you held it. The relationship that begins to heal under this frequency will develop a quality of understanding and honesty that the original version never reached. The body receiving this declaration as a daily practice begins not just to recover its baseline, it begins to access reserves of vitality that the exhaustion or the illness had buried but never destroyed. K is why the reawakening is worth the consistency. You are not working toward the restoration of something ordinary. You are practicing your way toward a quality of life in your dreams, your health, and your relationships that carries the signature of the divine, not because you earned it through repetition, but because Ana Kiamta Wa, practiced with genuine intention and surrender, opens the channel through which Khaye, that original, uncorrupted divine life, flows back into what has been waiting for it. If this teaching is stirring a deep resonance in your heart, it is a sign that your soul is ready to return to its original blueprint. To support you in this transition, my guides explain the layers of meaning behind the first sacred words, offering you a path to clear the interference of the world. The link to access these tools is waiting for you in the pinned comment. Now is the moment to move from understanding this declaration to actually working with it, because knowledge of a frequency, without practice, remains only information. The protocol that follows is not a rigid ritual. It is a framework of intention designed to help you direct the power of Anana Kiamta Wa into the specific area of your life that has gone silent. There are 4 steps. Each one matters. Together, they create the conditions in which the reawakening becomes not a hope, but a lived experience. Before you speak the declaration, take a genuine moment of stillness and ask yourself, what is the one area where something precious has lost its voice? Be specific. Not a vague sense of something missing, but a real and nameable wound. A dream you stopped speaking aloud. A relationship you stopped investing in. A body that stopped feeling fully yours. Write it down in a single sentence, if you can. The frequency of a na nakiamta dublio works with precision when it is directed with precision. Naming what went silent is the first act of restoration. When you speak a na nakiamta wa, you are not commanding the universe as though you hold authority over outcomes. You are aligning yourself with the I am presence, the living frequency of Jesus, and offering the specific wound into that presence. Speak the declaration as an act of trust. You are the resurrection and the life, and this silent place in me belongs to you. The inner posture matters as much as the spoken words. Approach this declaration with open hands, not the tension of demanding a result. Surrender is not weakness. It is the most powerful position available to the human spirit. Speak ana na kyamta wa daily, ideally in the morning, before the noise of the world fills the space where the frequency needs to work. 3 to 5 intentional, conscious repetitions, each one directed toward the wound you identified in step 1. Do not measure results day by day or week by week. This frequency accumulates the way water works on stone, invisibly at first, then unmistakably over time. The miracle of Kyamta is not loud. It is persistent, and the practice of returning, even on the days when nothing seems to be moving, is itself a declaration of faith that feeds the reawakening. Keep a simple record after each daily practice. Even a few sentences in a journal. A thought that arrived unexpectedly, a feeling that shifted, a conversation that seemed to carry more than ordinary significance, a moment of clarity where there had been fog. These small movements are not coincidences. They are QYAMTA happening beneath the surface before it becomes fully visible above it. Witnessing and honoring these early signs is essential because evidence builds faith, and faith accelerates the reawakening. What you acknowledge, you amplify. When you bring the protocol of Ananana Kyamta Dabua to your dreams, the first thing that changes is not the dream itself. It is your relationship with the possibility of the dream. Sleeping dreams do not go silent for lack of potential. They grow quiet because the repeated experience of delay, redirection, or disappointment gradually teaches the heart to protect itself by believing less. Enana Kyamta Dabua does not override that protective pattern by force. It softens it through consistent daily practice until the part of you that stopped dreaming begins to remember that it is safe to believe again. Start by speaking Ananakyamta Dabya over the specific dream you stopped mentioning. Then watch for the first signs of movement, an idea that carries the warmth of the old fire, an opportunity that connects to the dormant vision, a conversation that seems to speak the language of what you buried. These are the first breaths of K entering what went silent. Do not dismiss them as small. They are the beginning of what is building, and beginnings, honored faithfully, always grow into something greater than what was there before. When you bring Ana Kyamta Wa to your health, you are working with a body that carries not only physical patterns, but also the memory of every prolonged stress, unprocessed grief, and sustained tension it has absorbed on your behalf. The body is extraordinarily responsive to the frequencies of the spirit. Daily intentional practice of this declaration, spoken over the specific area of your body that needs restoration, begins to introduce a counter-frequency to the patterns of depletion. This is not a replacement for medical care. It is a spiritual environment in which the body's own regenerative intelligence is supported and activated. When you bring Ana Nakyamta Duowi to a relationship, you are introducing the resurrection frequency into a space that may have become defined by its patterns of silence, distance, or unresolved pain. Speak the declaration over the relationship by name. Surrender the specific wound, the moment of breaking, the wall that has become routine. K does not force outcomes or override another person's freedom, but it does transform the one who practices it. And a transformed person changes the emotional atmosphere of every relationship they carry, creating new possibilities in spaces that had accepted impossibility. The practice you have received today is not complicated, But it requires something that most people find more difficult than complexity. It requires return, the willingness to come back, again and again, to the same declaration, the same surrender, the same intentional direction of Ananai Kiamta, wa toward what went silent in you, not because the first time was insufficient, but because spiritual reawakening is built in layers, and every faithful return adds a layer that belongs to the restoration. Jesus did not teach his followers a single, one-time prayer. He taught them to pray continuously, persistently, with a consistency that refuses to accept silence as a final answer. The declaration Ana Nakiamta wa carries this same design. It was not given as an event to believe in from a distance. It was given as a living frequency to be practiced in the morning, in the difficulty, in the moment when the dream feels furthest away, in the night when the body aches and the relationship feels like a closed door. The reawakening is already in motion. It began the moment something in you recognized the sound of Ana Nakiamta wa as something that belonged to you. That recognition was not random. It was the first breath of QAMTA. The standing again, beginning its quiet work in the layers beneath what you can currently see. Return to this declaration tomorrow morning. Speak it over the dream, the body, the relationship that most needs it. Do not wait for visible results before you return. The frequency works in the returning. Jesus is the resurrection and the life. Not was, not will be, is. Right now, in this moment, and in every moment you choose to practice the alignment of an Anakiamta wa. What went quiet is not gone. It is sleeping, and the voice that has always known how to wake what sleeps is speaking into it right now. Visit Divine Light Academy at the link below to access my guides and start your journey into the living language of the Masters. But before you go, I want to hear from you. What did you feel during this session? Comment the word awakening below if you felt a shift in your energy today. We read every response, and your testimony strengthens this entire community of light. Right now, before you close this video, come to the comments and tell us, what did you feel? What shifted? We read every single response. And if this teaching found you today, subscribe to this channel. Every week we go deeper into the ancient frequency codes that were always meant to be yours. We are just scratching the surface of this ancient power. Get ready, because in our next video, I will reveal even deeper Aramaic codes that unlock spiritual authority you've never imagined. Make sure you are subscribed and have notifications turned on so you don't miss this unfolding revelation.